Sky Howdy, and welcome back to another exciting episode of World Bigfoot Radio. And remember, if you've had an encounter, call Wes at SasquatchChronicles.com, and he'll take care of it. If you've seen a Gugly or a mountain giant or a troll or something really cool like that, get a hold of me. Duke wants to hear about that one. Meanwhile, I'm having a returning field correspondent here, one of our regulars that comes on the show every few months to update us on what's been going on down in their corner of the country. And fan favorite for the show here. Everybody loves him and know him. And the funniest Bigfoot story that anybody's ever heard came from this man, Randy Caveman Yazzie. Welcome back to World Bigfoot Radio, buddy.
Hello, Duke.
Great to have you back, dude.
Hey, man. And also, hello out there, World Bigfoot Radio cowboys and cowgirls out there.
Even including in Australia, Russia, and wherever you may happen to be listening to this.
Wow.
Tonight we're all cowboys.
They're all cowboys. They're probably all blokes out that way. And
well, Caveman's a for real
say,
cowboy. Bigfoot gets too close to his house, he goes out there with a lasso, tries to grab him and put him in a cage.
Yeah. I don't know anything about Russians or these other places, but I always, fascinated with Australia and New Zealand down that way, down under.
Oh, well, you do good down in Australia. That's a lot like where you live. It's all big open deserts and stuff for most of the continent, and except for the jungly parts around the coast and the north part of it. A lot of it kind of looks like where you live, so you'd probably be right in there, except for the lots and more plentiful poisonous snakes and spiders than what you usually get to deal with. Other than that, it's probably pretty similar.
Well, I guess I'll stay here then.
Well, we'll see if we can get you down to chase yowies around out in the outback at some point. They might need some help from a Navajo warrior there because they haven't been too successful in catching one or getting pictures of them so far.
Yeah, they'll probably see a different guy running right there, and then they'll jump in the river or jump in the ocean or something like that.
What was that lightning bolt? I don't know. Maybe that was our guest from the U.S. running from the Yowie over there.
Yeah, I heard that. There was marathons being run out there on the open. Never knew about that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that, as much as it's a landlocked little mini continent down there, that they've got apparently yowies there because they've got lots of sightings and reports, and the guys that are really researched it will tell you there's actually 3 different kinds down there. They got the little bitty short ones, they're their proto-pygmy version, the Jungides, and then they've got like the regular size yowies that are more or less like human size or a little bit bigger, and then they got another one that they think might be a third kind that's like in the really big 9-10 foot tall side that you really don't want to run into apparently. Those are the ones that maybe you go missing if you're in their area and they're having a bad day. But it seems like in general the yowies kind of have a crappy reputation. Most of the people that research them said that, just got generally bad attitude, and some of the reports you hear, it seems like they're even more brazen than they are here in the U.S. Outback Jack was telling me about one where there was a couple of people at a campground, and the damn thing grabbed the one guy's tent with him in it and started dragging it across the campground. And his screams and yells woke up the other campers, and they started coming out of their tents, at which point he dropped the tent and took off. But, I mean, it's like, oh, my God, that's a little bit beyond the beyond compared to what we even have to deal with usually.
Yeah. But that's, here on the res, that's kind of like common. That's what they mean by being aggressive.
Yeah.
You just don't
grabbing your tent and trying to drag you off in it. That's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, just grabbing you or anything like that, just taking you, taking you into the bushes. That's being aggressive. So, that's just, kind of like a little bit the real close encounters that people have right here. That's the teaching. It'll just grab you and take you into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
That's that.
Yeah, and it's probably the scary part isn't so much, well, first of all, it is scary that it's grabbing you and taking you into the woods, but it's probably not taking you there to like share its cookies that are left over from the Cookie Monster's last visit. It's probably got something else in mind, which probably isn't good.
Yeah. Probably just rip out your arm or something like that and leave you there. Something like that. But they're common. But yeah, down in Australia, if there's 3 different kinds of hominids out there, when I go down there, there'll be a fourth one.
There'll be all these weird sightings of the Yazzie Yowie going on. I'll be like, what the hell is that weird thing, Mike?
That one has a strange name. His name's Yazzie.
It's a Yazzie Yowie, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what they do. That's most common around here on the reservation. That's the teaching also.
I know, and that's one of the things that always kind of, every time I talk to you guys down there, it kind of gets me that, there can be parts of the country where they're pretty aggressive, and like where I live is one of them. But, that's like beyond the pale really around. There's certain areas of the country where it's just like they kind of take the, human and Bigfoot interaction handbook and throw it out the window and just kind of do whatever the hell they want. So like they're so brazen they think they can get away with almost anything.
Yeah. That's, you just have to know how you understand the woods.
Mm-hmm.
You just be aware. You just have to be be on your 8th sense, in other words, when you're out.
Yeah.
Because there's also these other predators that are out there. There'll be like the bears and the cougars, even the bobcats and all the other little critters that will come after you, like the badgers or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. You just always have to be aware. Don't really try and second guess things. That's just the way I am. When I look at something that I have to make sure, but I don't go closer to it. I just make sure and all of that. And them hustings on the other side are bobbing their heads back and forth, trying to focus in on me also. And that's one of the things that I do out here. When I hear a crack in one of the sticks that are laying around way out there, either I'm in the bushes nearby my house, or way down the Chaco Wash, or on the other side of the San Juan River. Walking along the San Juan River. I get to kind of a safe place too, or look for an avenue of escape first before I look to where the crack was. There might be even an angry bull looking at me from there. Because once you look at it, they have a reaction to it, because eyes do mean, looking into each other's eyes do mean, either it might be aggressive, get kind of aggressive, trying to get you away. But if you're not looking, trying to just avoiding the gaze of them, of any animal, will deter a lot of what do you call it? Attack.
Confrontation. They take it as an aggressive challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it goes that. I've gone through things like that, because like I was saying, and before what do you call it? Those when they were looking in the windows or anything like that. If I'm walking around, they'll still be looking. But if I look that way, either they look around, or they pop their heads down, or they kind of really try and focus in on me.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. So eye contact is really a form of communication, to figure out how you are. The first thing is to deter you from being there if there is like a young child that they have around there.
Right.
And that's the first thing to get you away from there. And they'll throw rocks or sticks or branches at you, or just to get you out of the area, because they're just some certain ones, they're just ornery. They're just and those people try to define them, or they try to find their what they're thinking, that maybe they're all like all like that, all the Bigfoots, these Hosteens. And, usually they're not, because there's a clan that comes around sometimes that, kind of keeps, like I always say, keeps an eye on me, and also keeps me in check also.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones that, look through the window. They're the ones that, dig in the trash or be bothering the dogs. But, now my dogs, they're all friends with them. They know which clan is around there.
Yeah, they let them off their chain so they can go run around free.
Yeah, that's one thing that
Bigfoot.
they do. And I've had that problem within 1 week. One time, they've been taking them off their chains, and my dogs will be all running around way out there, and when it's time to feed them in the morning, they'll be long gone. And then I call them back, and we come back and be looking around, because that's what I noticed. Also, they use that long hand and the thumb, and they know how to do mechanical. What do you call it? They're mechanically kind of like they know how things work when it comes down to like dog latches.
Yeah.
And they know how
mechanical devices. If they can see us work it a couple times, they can figure it out.
Yeah, they do figure it out, and then these the clan that comes around, they have figured it out. And what the hilarious thing about it is they twist the chains together, but they don't. They twist both chains. These two dogs that are like tied up, and they bring the chains together, and they twist them at the ends where the latches are.
That brings me to an interesting question that I got for you, Caveman, that you maybe could answer and a lot of other people couldn't. You've seen a lot of examples of them building structures and whatnot too, and you see them twine the chains together like that. And we know that they can sort of weave things together. Have you ever seen any evidence of them actually tying a knot?
Yes, they do. In like I was saying, they do that to my chain. If you can go, how you tie your shoe, you go over and under, right? And then from there on, that's how they twist them, twist the upper excess chain together. But they do the first thing that when we're tying our shoe, the over and under thing, not the Mickey Mouse ears, but that, and then they keep on doing that. And then
again, though, from my standpoint, that's like weaving, because you're just twining two branches together. It's like if you took two branches, held them in your hand, and started twisting opposite directions with both hands, it would end up being twined together like that. But that's not an actual knot.
Yeah. All they do, what I have seen as far as, not really like, how twisting a knot and then making them into like a shoestring knot. Yeah.
Like saying a square knot. You do the over-under, and then you loop back over the top, and you do the over-under again. Simplest, most basic knot you can make. Do they do anything like that?
They do the over and under, but as far as I know, they twist it.
So just like the over, under, and then pull it tight, that's as much as you've ever seen them do knot-wise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Over and under and all of that.
Yeah.
And that's they'll do that sometimes at the tips of these structures also.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, how we used to when we used to be in mini farms with my grandparents, we would go out pinon picking out in the open, or not in the open, up in the mountains, and my grandpa would put together this shade tree, kind of like a little house. That's he would break down the branches that are like maybe 7-8 feet, and then put them all in somewhere around circumference of maybe about 8 feet, And we would all go in there, and that would be our house, our temporary house. And we never even knew, we considered it a house, and those were temporary. So these structures that they build also, they're temporary. They're put together just for temporary, for the night or for the day or for the babies that they have. And they'll go on, put them under the shade during the day and then go foraging also.
Yeah.
We
found an area up there in Patty Canyon where we found exactly that, where there was kind of a good-sized pine tree. They had a little bed underneath it. They had like a little ambush spot where there was 2 game trails that converged like practically right next to it, with a deadfall, and then moved into place next to that for a nice spot to hide in. And then everything around it, all of the little old dead stumps within about 100 feet had all been decorated with twigs from the little squatulets running around there. So it was like, when you found it and looked at it for a little while, it was like, oh, okay, I know what's going on here. This is pretty cool. So we found a couple places up there now where they actually moved from that location. They have the newer one that we found, where they're leaving structures and stuff up there all the time, and those are, again, smaller, littler ones making them. And I see other people that find examples of these things that look like full-on teepees or like little lodges or something like that. And when I find those, I always tend to go, well, is this really a Bigfoot, or did some humans just pile this up and they stayed here for a few days and threw a tarp over it? But the majority of all, probably 95% of the unnatural structures that I find out in the woods have really no useful purpose. Even if you threw a tarp over them, they'd be useless.
Yeah, they start on the like the one that's still standing up, and they'll put brushes or branches or whatever they break around that area. And it's always if you look at it, it's just like the same as the teepees. There's 3 main poles that they'll put up first, which is stable, to make it stable. And they're usually the ones that are like the ones that keep the whole teepee up. And then everything, all of that is just pushed together on it.
Yeah.
That's one thing that a lot of researchers miss. Will be looking at it, but they'll put in 3 of them first on each other. And that's just the same way as these other natives. They put up their teepees also. But what we use is
all of the smaller ones that we find, and I'm talking about like 3 to 6 feet tall, that's exactly what it is. They're taking 3 initial leaners and putting them up there, and then they're adding other sticks and stuff onto it. A couple, 2, 3 larger ones that I found around this area now have been really interesting because they actually used a standing tree as the center pole and then just piled everything against it, which was kind of really weird. And, again, it was like, well, it doesn't really serve a useful purpose. There's no signs of human garbage. There's no nails. There's no twine. Nothing's been cut. It's all been snapped off. What the hell is it for? And the only thing I could think of is in the area that it's in where they're doing this stuff now, they don't have as much shade, and they might have made an area for like the little squatulets to just, hang out in. But I'd be willing to bet that during the daylight hours, they're really not there anyway because it's too close to where there's hiking trails for humans and stuff, and they're probably just up in that area at night or like in the early evening when the adults are across the canyon hunting deer, and they got like a sentinel or a couple, other ones that are keeping an eye on the little ones up there and keeping them busy while they're going and hunting. Yeah,
they'll move them once there's the first human that might run through there, on these trails that are on the mountains or these running trails that communities have. Once they see a human running through there, then they'll move the babies. Other than that, they'll leave them there, or even in a brush or under some rocks. They'll leave them under there where it's cool. That's what they do, and push them under there and let them sleep, or let them I don't know what squatch babies do.
Yeah, it's, unless you're actually observing them like Jane Goodall or something, we don't know exactly what to do, but we can draw some pretty good guesses. you know, like the area that I've got around here, there's so much huge pine trees and stuff, and there's no shortage of caves, natural and abandoned mines. To my way of thinking, it's like, well, unless it's really brutal middle of the winter, in which case there's caves and mines available. If it's just like the summer and it's raining or something, all you got to do is get underneath one of those pine trees, and you're not going to get wet anyway. So, you know, how much actual shelter building do they need to do? Well, basically none.
Well, what they do is they actually there are caves, like you said, in these cliffs. Where you kind of like halfway, you know how there's a cliff and then there's like the slope that starts to go down from there. There's a lot of caves or a lot of rock that have fallen down to make shelters, and majority of them, they stay up there, and they come down from there, and that's like the main place that they go to. Is like way up in there, where it's cliff on the back side and then slope on the front side. Yeah.
And always, what do they say on Missing 411? One of the top 3 places for people to go missing in, rock fields, or like what you're describing, a talus slope, where all the rocks break off, fall down the cliff or the mountain, make a big pile. There's all kinds of little openings and caves and stuff just in it because of the way they naturally pile together, and people go missing in those places. Yeah.
And there's usually like maybe a small hole that starts with it, and then in the background, you know, it'll get inside the cave, it'll be like a lot bigger. It fit about maybe 3 or 4 of them laying down in there. That's how they are, you know. That's how they go to sleep.
Well, and usually, like you've said before, they just dig into the side of a riverbank or something and make a little cave there. If they're going to be around for 2-3 days or something, they make a little temporary dugout. And I just had Rich on. We were talking about Zana over there in the Caucasus Mountains, and according to the reports of the locals, that's the same thing she was doing. She just dig a hole in the ground and sleep in there at night.
Yeah. All they'll do is just put some sticks together and make a shelter. That's just temporary. But the main place that they go up there, way up on top of close to the mountains, and dig under there.
Well, so catch us up to date now. What's been going on? I know you've had various things happening down there, and one we'll get to here in a little while. You've got before we go to reports and sightings and whatnot, you got an event upcoming there, right?
Yeah. Well, my friends were all we got to talking one day, and they were all like, hey, you know, can you used to have this Bigfoot club down here? Well, what happened to it? And then I told them, hey, you know, it's just I got a lot of things to do, you know, going to school and doing a lot of internship and, you know, doing a lot of things. And I just kind of like backed off from it. I just told the community that, you know, what I was doing. And they were like, well, can you do it? Can you do it for us? You know, can we weren't here that time, and we didn't know you that well also that time. And so, you know, we all got together, and I sent them on their own little project thingies to, you know, collect information on it and all of that from different resources, and we looked at it, and, you know, and then I told them, well, you know, what do you guys want to hear? The ones that are like out there, or the ones that are from my own personal experience? So then, you know, majority won my own experiences. So the way I look at it, the native perspective, or the Navajo, the Caveman site. So they put together the flyer, and I was like, oh, okay, you know. So we set it up for the 28th of February, and it's going to be in the college auditorium. And you know, hopefully, if what do you call it? The college says it's okay to film on there. I wanted to go live on it.
Oh, that'd be nice if you could do a live feed. I'd post that Montana Bigfoot Project.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I mean, that's what they wanted to do also. They you know, they're my friends are, you know, helping me out on this, and so that's what we're waiting on to see if we can go live on it. And unfortunately, I probably won't ask or answer questions at the time and all of that. It's just, you know, whatever is on there that they put down for me to talk about, and you know, that's
right.
Those are the things kind of like that from the students themselves. And also there's some people that are, you know, in the community and also outside, way out there, all through the res. From what I hear, they have all heard that. So certain people that have had encounters and sightings and all of that will be coming out also. And that's what I'm working on, you know, to sign waivers if they say it's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
so you can do your own little town hall then too. That's even cooler.
Yeah, something like that. And this will all be in an hour and a half period of time, or maybe a couple hours if possible. So, you know, that's you know, that was my friends' wishes, all of that. So, and then from there on, you know, well, whatever comes by, and if they have questions, they can also, you know, PM me also on Messenger.
Right on.
If a person had a question or something like that. But what I'm thinking is this is just tentative. Doing the live feed from my own group, Hustine Zipplui, doing the live feed from there. And whoever's in that group, you know, will be, I guess, looking at it. And that's what I'll be doing. That's the first thing. Other than that, you know, it's March, April, you know, May, when we get out of class again. I'm thinking of not doing any intern or anything like that. So I'm just probably going to go back out and see what I can find down below.
Good. Well, that means we just have to get you up here to do some squatching up here in the mountains this summer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's you know, get to visit you guys up there and go all the way around and see who I can visit.
Yeah, we may have to, you know, go see if we can find Glag or something if we got you up here. That would be fun to do.
Yeah. Well, when I start singing out in them woods, you know, there'd be about maybe a whole tribe to come through.
Good. Yeah, that's the more the merrier.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. End up with 50 of them there throwing boulders at us. Great. Not. Well, I hope that even if you guys can't live stream it, I hope that you can at least record it, because then we can show it to people after the fact. At least they couldn't make it there to see it live. We'll be able to look at it.
Yeah. You know, that's what I'm trying. See, the only thing is if I can film on there on the college site.
Mm-hmm.
That was the problem that arose. That's the only thing. But other than that, yeah, I'll try and record everything or even try to go live.
So you had some recent investigations going on around down there. So what's been happening there?
Well, they're coming around, still not tapping on windows, and bothering my dogs, all that. I go outside, and all you hear is footsteps running down towards, you know, the downhill to the edge of my house. But they're keeping their distance now. You know, there's like that. So many of the researchers that have been sitting in the dark looking at my house also, you know, thanks to them also. So whomever they were, you know, I would just, I'm saying this because I would find like tracks, human tracks, you know, about maybe 1,000 feet from my house. Somebody had set up maybe a tripod or something like that, or just looking at my area from a distance also. So that hasn't been happening. So they started coming around again. And,
so how did you stop that? Did you put out some Tom Biscardi repellent or something? No.
No, they before I used to shoot at the images that were way out in the open or way at the edges of the mesa, and then I thought afterwards, there might be people out there. Sure enough, I go out there and there's human tracks out there.
Sort of keeps them back a ways, though. Now that they know the guy on the mesa will shoot at him if he sees them.
Yeah.
Sometimes back off a little further. He's pretty accurate.
Yeah. So I just do that, and then, the dogs let me know. Like I said, when these things come around, if it's the certain clan that comes around that they know, all they would do is howl. They would howl. They won't bark or anything. They'll howl, and then all of a sudden, everything goes quiet. And then after that, by that time, I'll be looking around, but my dog will be gone. That will be it, and they're probably out running around with them, or I don't know what they do. But in the morning when I call them back in, they're usually back in tired.
Set up
probably
a trap for them for when they're looking in the kitchen window at you.
Yeah,
back.
I'm trying to set up cameras as to where they can't see it. Because I have
that one guy that M.K. Davis had on did that with a mirror. He actually had the mirror pointed at where he wanted to film, and he was filming the mirror. And then the other thing that you could try is, because they're going to come right up to the window and look at you while you're looking away. You've got pictures of them doing it. What you need to do is either light them up or dampen the light in the kitchen and take a picture. Because otherwise you get too much glare off the window and you can't enhance the image enough to see it. All you can see is a blob with glowing eyes.
And I've set up my cameras about maybe 25 feet facing my house from the corral, and also on the west side, on the back side of my house. But, they always seem to be getting in front of the camera. And then nothing after that. Be like a dog trotting by, my dog, my little Chihuahua. He's the only one that's loose. And you see him trotting by. So they know how to get it. They know how to get in there.
Yeah, they're good at avoiding having their picture taken, apparently better than somebody else that you had around there for a while. You got a game camera picture of running across your yard. That one was a real shocker when that one came in. And you posted it on your group and said, "I got you. You're not as sneaky as your big cousins are."
Yeah. I started singing that Eagles tune, "The New Kid in Town."
New kid in town.
Yeah, because he got his picture taken without even knowing. So the other ones, they would be all hiding or just show their shaggy legs or whatever. But this one, he's out in the open. Yeah, really running on camera.
Yeah, it looked like he was boogieing really fast trying to get in front of the camera before it snapped or something, but he didn't go fast enough.
Yeah. I didn't know nothing. There's a camera right there. That's what I mean, new kid in town. Didn't know nothing.
Other than that one incident where you had the one wake you up by climbing up on the bed and then ding-dong ditch it and ran and dove through the hole in the wall, and then you passed up the hole in the wall after that, you haven't had him back in the house or anything, have you?
No. I plugged everything up around my house and inside my house. Even the spiders don't even get in there now. So
nice.
that was something to see. Asleep way in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden something grabs your thumb. And I was in the fetal position with my left arm straight out, and I guess my hand was at the edge of the bed, and I had my head on my arm, and I was asleep. And here I felt my a tug on my thumb, and immediately, I just opened my eyes on it, and this thing crawls up real fast, and it stood up, and I was like, I really didn't freak or anything. I just, looked at it like, what the hell is this? And it actually stepped over my hand right there, right at the wrist and the lower part. And it stepped over and it stopped. It noticed that I was looking at him, and it really focused in on me. And I'd say about 1 second passed, and then he grinned at me. Not either he grinned or he showed his teeth, like to say, like, oh crap, kind of like that. And
the typical Bigfoot reaction when they're panicky or an ape or something, and they flash their teeth at you.
Yeah.
What did his teeth look like?
It just stopped. It looked like the same one that I had the shot on. It really didn't have the way I seen it was it didn't really have any hair on it, but on the shoulders it did, and it had also the big hair with the brown
big
eyes.
poofy hair.
Yeah, big
was he
poofy
wearing
hair.
clothes, or did he just have like hair all over him like a mini Squatch?
It had like what I was thinking afterwards was I thought it had like little clothes or anything, like a little native, But that's what it actually looked like a human being as it stood up, and it didn't have like claws or anything like that. I didn't feel no claws either when it grabbed my thumb. Yeah, the clothes, I thought it was wearing a pelt at one point.
Okay.
It's just the hair on its backside and on its shoulders. And other than that, you would see maybe it might have hair towards the midsection, like the stomach, but it did have hair on the shin also. But majority of it was kind of like the way you would the color of bread. That was the outer crust of a bread. You know how it's kind of like sandy brown,
golden brown, yeah.
Yeah, so I seen that one. So I thought it was wearing like a pelt or anything, something like that. That's what I thought. But it did have a little stick with it, like a little spear, and it had that one.
Did his face all look proportional like a human's, or was his like eyes a little bit bigger than a human's would have been, or nose a little bit bigger than a human's would have been, or was it all just pretty much like a shrunk down miniature human?
It was the eyes were a little bit big for its size.
Mm-hmm.
How those lemur eyes.
Right.
That's how it was. Because I seen it just at my hand length, which is
right.
Just
he's literally arm length away from you, and you get to look at him for a second. That's a pretty close sight.
Yeah. And here, that's what I seen because I looked at it as it climbed up, and then it stepped over my hand, and then that's when it stopped and turned towards me. And then that was it. And once it showed its teeth, it real fast lightning reflex just jumped down in there. It didn't even bother to grab anything. It just fell down in there or something like that. It just jumped back down towards the bottom of the bed. And then all I heard was that like running along the wall under the benches and all of that I have in the bedroom, it made its way, just crawling. So I figure if it did that and it ran back to the closet, the walk-in closet, that's what majority of the time when you scare one of these hostiles, you kind of walk up on it and they take off. That's more or less, what it did. That's the same. If it was like not 8 or 9 foot, 10 foot running through the woods, all crashing and all of that. So that's more or less what it did. It made its way out away from me real fast.
Yeah. How tall do you think he was?
I would say somewhere around 12 to 14 inches.
Okay. So like the size of a G.I. Joe, pretty much, something like that.
Yeah. It wasn't that tall or anything like that. And it jumped down in there and made its way, and you could hear all the cords. You know how these electrical cords, when they bounce up against the wall or hard surface, they make sounds also. Maybe got tangled at certain times and all of that, tripped over and all of that. So yeah,
to get out of there.
And I really didn't think anything of it after that. I was like, whoa, I just saw this. What the hell, what else is there out there? So I went back to sleep. I didn't jump up or anything like that. I was just, sleep is more important.
As long as you ran away, that's fine for now. Hey, when he grinned at you, he showed you his teeth. What does teeth look like? Did he have human-looking teeth?
Just the same as human. Just the same as human. I didn't see no sharp teeth. Maybe that was in there, but it was closed. It was closed.
Teeth look white or yellow or white teeth? And
when it showed his teeth, it was white. I didn't see no plaque or anything. I just seen it, grin at me, saw the small teeth, and that was it.
Did he have any whites to his eyes? What color was his eyes?
It was let's see, the light that was coming off the clock was the light that was reflecting on him. So I only saw the sparkle in its eye.
Right.
It didn't go red.
Dark. Yeah.
But I did see the whole roundness of its eyes. And that's what I was thinking about also afterwards. It has like lemur eyes.
Right. Yeah, and that kind of makes sense. I mean, if they're making a living by being out at night or something like that, they'd have a little bit bigger eyes for gathering more light in, so they could see better in the dark. And if those little guys, they're so little now, they could easily avoid us knowing that they were around.
Yeah. I haven't, and after it went down into the closet, the walk-in closet, like I said, I just went back to sleep. I didn't want to mess with it or anything like that. It's small, so if it tries to attack me, I want to squish some heads is what, went through my mind. So I just did that, and then the next morning, first thing I did was check the walk-in closet. Sure enough, there was maybe a 6 to 8 inch slit drywall in the drywall that had been cracked open, and eventually, I guess they had been coming in from there.
Mm-hmm.
And also, when I checked down in there, it had bored its way all the way from, I could see the bottom of the house, the trailer, and see all the way down to the dirt.
Wow, that's really creepy. So, yeah, it just kind of makes you wonder, like it was a scouting mission or something. Now, it sounds like after the recent spate where you had them around again and you actually got a picture of one of them on your cam out in front of the house, that shortly after that, all the activity died down and they disappeared again. Did it just seem like they come through at a certain time of the year or something, maybe?
I'm thinking, probably, because both of them happened somewhere around September and October.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
so
that was
I'm
the
thinking,
same time of the year this year where you got the picture.
yeah. And the sighting on that one was also I think it was October when it came up on the bed. And
wow,
so
that's really weird.
And so,
I should mention at this point, before we get on to other subjects, that I just got contacted today by another listener that's interested in the little people and basically contacted me because I've done a couple shows on them, and I have people that know something about them. And he had taken some pictures on the Rio Grande River in New Mexico just a few weeks ago, and he sent them to me. And little tracks that look sort of like human tracks, about 5 inches long, and a little handprint in the mud, about 1.5 inches long, maybe 2 inches. Looks just like a human handprint. I mean, that's even too small for a toddler, for God's sakes. So I don't know what the hell he's taking pictures of down there, but might be little people down there, too.
Yeah. Some new thing that's around the way I see it. Because I had never gone through it, and when what's his name, Bear Jim King, had asked me about it, I just told him that was okay, and it was all. I haven't really had any contact with them. Just then, that thing happened, and I was like, hey, Bear, keep all the things that are that you talk about on your side, because I don't want to see him over here.
Yeah, he doesn't like skinwalkers and puckwudgies and stuff and ghosts, and he didn't like none of that stuff for some reason.
Yeah. So I was just laughing about it. Keep all that stuff on your side. So that was it.
Yeah, he's got a nice big desert to keep him over there. That's too much territory for him to cross to get over there to where Bear is. Too much effort to get down there and pasture him. So he's got local cryptids to deal with. He's got his own problems over there for being overrun with deep south boaters where he's at. There's no shortage of them. Have you had any, what's been going on locally here with your neighbors and or being contacted by anybody else around the area having booger sightings going on?
Oh, just recently, which was, I think it was Tuesday. This was a little bit far off from me, but there was a report of this lady that had come through the gate, opened the gate, and drove through, and she closed the gate and sat back in the car, and then she got on her phone like any other woman would do. She got on her phone first and probably text Facebook, made a selfie or something like that. It was doing that within a few seconds. Then she got her car slapped so many times. She didn't bother to look back. She just put it in drive, threw the phone to the side, and off she went back to her brother. So that's right within the area, but this is west of me, about maybe a mile. And after that night, no, this one happened before. I'm sorry, this one happened a week before. And they were talking about it. And I told them, they live down there. So these hustings, you could tell. So she was all scared. We went to her brother's house and, just was really traumatized by it. And after that, the other two ladies that I had written on Facebook about, had seen one across the road. This is about maybe 10 miles from where I live, east of where this thing happened. And a good description was it was a sandy color that it just ran right there, right in front of them. And she almost hit it. That the passenger that was on there just, saw the movement, something running across, and that was it. And then they just went on. She didn't want to stop because she didn't want her friend to be dragged out of the car. So other cars had stopped right there, the ones that were, going the opposite direction. That's, what happened. And we went back out there. I took some pictures. It had snowed and it was windy, but, the footprints were still, kind of seen. It had, it was going at an angle, and it went right in front of them and jumped the fence and continued on. So
well, man, if you got them pictures of the tracks to send them on over so we can check those out. We'll definitely want to look at that. Now, you had like multiple cars in each direction stopping. Did you get multiple witnesses to talk about it, or just the one car?
Oh, just the one car. The other witnesses they just stopped and they kept on going.
Right.
Like I said, they got scared and.
Well, yeah.
They just kept on driving.
Well, it's a good thing somebody got a hold of you so you could go over there and take a look at it and try and document it a little bit, figure out what was going on. How big of a fence did he go jump over?
It was, let's say, about 5 foot.
Oh, geez. Okay.
5 foot, and it must have cleared it because I tried looking for, like, hair where the tracks are.
Well, you found the tracks on each side of it, then? Did it look like he had jumped over or just stepped?
It looked like it jumped over.
Okay.
Because I could see the heel mark the most, and just slightly the other portion, like the toes or anything. Just it was mainly the heel. It was right under the bush. Under
the bush where you can't find the tracks.
Yeah,
sounds about right.
Right, like a salt bush. That's what it was. So, when I went back out there. In fact, I haven't even downloaded that one yet. So as soon as I get it, I'll send it over.
Yeah, send it on over. We'll definitely include it here with the show, man. That's it's really neat when you get sightings like that where, it sounds like the other people didn't bother to report and chime in, but you get multiple witnesses seeing something like that. It's really cool. Because then you can get the details from the other ones and go, well, what did you see? If all the details are exactly the same, it's like, well, there's a pretty good case that they were all seeing the same hallucination for some reason. Maybe it wasn't a hallucination.
What I noticed, what I noticed when I was walking around there is the cows are giving birth, and there's a lot of little itty bitty calves, scampering around. That's what I've seen around there.
I think he's napping up the stillborn defective ones or eating after birth, or what do you think he's up to?
It might be eating after birth. So, I didn't see no little dead calves or anything. They were out in the field on both sides and all around there also. There's plenty of cows that were there.
Interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if that was what was going on. They're so opportunistic. We just had that show where I did with Big D there, and he was talking about somebody up in Wisconsin actually having a sighting. He was looking at it with the binoculars going, what the hell is this guy doing out in my wheat field? And the guy's like waving his arm, and you could tell after he watched him for a minute or two, he was actually pulling the grains off the stalks of wheat and eating them. He's like, what the hell is this guy doing? So he jumps on his ATV, goes chasing after him. It turns out it's a Bigfoot. But there's a perfect example. He's got one little part of his big field of wheat that hasn't been cut yet, and the Bigfoot's smart enough to be over there going, I better munch this down fast. He's going to cut this one next.
Yep. They'll just take off real fast. They just don't want to be seen out in the open when they're doing something.
Yeah. Yeah, this was kind of unusual because it was still daylight, and he thought it was just some guy trespassing on his property, so he jumped on his ATV and ran over to the far side of the field. By the time he got there, the thing had covered almost as much distance across the field at a right angle away from him toward the road and had gone over the road. So he went as fast as he could and chased him across the road into the other neighbor's field and caught up with him, at which point it turned around and roared at him. And there was no doubt in his mind what it was, and then he kind of decided to leave.
Yeah. That was a race between a turtle and a jackrabbit.
It's like, okay, that's not a human, I'm out of here. Go the opposite direction.
Yeah. Hey, that reminds me, when we were in my teenage years, we used to sleep out in these shade houses, we call them. It's just like what we were just talking about, like these Bigfoot temporary shelters.
Right.
We call them shade houses, and we, structure it real good, all square, and put some cottonwood leaves up against it and all of that. And then it's a house for the winter, not for the winter, for the summertime. Just a shade house is what it is. Like just something overhead, and you sleep in it and all of that. But right around, I'd say towards between 12 to 2, because we wouldn't go to sleep till somewhere 11 o'clock or something like that. And we would all go inside that shade house. And our door was only plywood that was cut out just to block the door, just to have the dogs stay out. And there would be like maybe 5 metal beds that was brought back from the local boarding school or something like that. And we had those old-timer roll-out mattresses. And we used to go to sleep on it, us boys. And we kind of be talking first, and just when we go to sleep, when all the talking's done, nobody's talking no more, and somebody starts snoring or something like that, there's always this guy that used to walk in, slide that thing over, and start bothering the boys that were in there, which, was us. It'll usually start from, like the one that's way in the corner first, of that shade house. And it would sit, and then you would hear on the second person, you could hear somebody saying, "Hey, don't bother me. Go on, get out of here." All this time we're thinking it might be some transient, drunk or something like that. Shade house. Anyways, it would start going person to person, and then when it got to me, what it did was, it was like feeling my lips, like me going,
yeah.
and all that time. I had my eyes shut. And while he's doing that, somebody from the ones that he had already bothered says, there's this drunk guy that's in the shade house, somebody chase him out. So he would just do that, and then feel over our faces, and then our hair, and then you could tell that, it when it breathes on you, it just had that, just bad breath kind of thing. And somebody that didn't brush their teeth, that's what it smelled like. And just push them away, that's what I did, just pushed them away. Hey, get out of here. So that's what I did, and eventually everybody else, all the boys that were in there did that too. And then it would sit there for a little while, and then just walk around in there. And it would, just when you're about to go to sleep, then it would walk out. But it wouldn't leave that, it wouldn't put that plywood back in place. It would just leave. And somebody would wake up and say, whoever that guy was, doesn't have the respect to close the door back, to close position, because that was our door, that plywood. You just slide it onto the opening. And here, the next morning, we would wake up, and there would be like, we didn't know what kind of tracks they were. So, somebody would just say, somebody was trying to look for a place to go crash out too. They're walking around with their bare feet already. So that was, an encounter always used to come around whenever we slept outside. Always, knew when the boys were outside, when we went to sleep. And we never knew that it was, the house team that would do that until later on when it was kind of raining, so we put tarp over the shade house. And the next morning, hell broke loose. One of my uncles had found some tracks right outside our shade house, and it had walked all the way from, as they tracked it from my aunt's house, which was like the eighth of a mile to the west. From there, and that's where they picked up the tracks, all the way and to our house, to my uncle's house, and then back down towards into the wash. And it was all done on barefoot. And
he must have known what it was right away then, huh?
Yeah, he knew what it was, and we tried to size our foot to it, and he threw a fit about it. You're not supposed to do that. This is something else. At the time, he didn't tell us what it was. All he said was, it's like I said, it's horse face down below. But the tracks weren't that big or anything. It was just maybe about maybe 12 inches, because it was kind of like bigger than ours, and
right.
And we
not
thought
gigantic.
Yeah, and we didn't think it was like some boogeyman, some monster walking around or anything like that until then. And here we just, thought it was some drunk trying to find a place to crash out. And it would happen all the time.
No, it was a face eater looking for a future meal. Oh, my God. What the hell, man?
And here, there will be like dogs missing certain times and all of that. And but it never bothered us.
Right.
Maybe because we were just too crazy or something like that. Like I said, at certain times in those teenage years of mine, we used to race down from that wash. We knew where that thing lived, but we didn't think it was like a drunk or anything. We thought that the one person that used to come around at night was a drunk.
Mm.
And later on, but there was one of those temporary shelters that these house teams make. We would bet on each other and shake it.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. Where you go down and let's go down and pester the guy with the shack down by the river.
Yeah, just shake the whole shelter, and it would go. Ah! When it yelled out more, then we got more money because we betted on it. See who could make it yell out real loud. And we thought it was just like an old man laying by behind there, too. We were just saying.
Bigfoot probably was too happy about that. Damn kids, quit messing around with me. I got to dig a hole and hide somewhere else.
Yeah. And at first, it used to live on the northeast side down in the wash. And then it made another shelter on the southeast side, kind of like inside the tree line, but you can still see towards the wash area and all of that. And I bet you, it moved from shaking its shelter all the time. We used to make
get further away from me. Get off my yard, you damn kids!
Yeah, because that's what it always used to say.
Oh, crabby Clint Eastwood, Bigfoot. Get off my yard, you damn kids.
Yeah. It didn't. The thing was, it didn't lay inside the shelter, but it laid behind it, and we would hear the sound from there, like and we would take off. Oh, we made it. We made it yell. So that's what we used to do as kids. Of course, we'd be running around as fast as we could away from there, betting each other $5. Things I used to do when I was out there, growing up. Even for riding horses, too. it would be in the rocks also. She said, hey, there was somebody standing here. We knew we'd start tracking it down pretty soon, and started smelling the stench and all of that. And we said, that's probably just a dead dog or something like that. Did you see it standing? Yeah, I saw it standing. And then the horses be all trying to take off from us, and we'll be forcing those horses down into where the big boulders are at. All that. We've done that, and we chased it and all that. And then it would run out. Sometimes it would be like way maybe a quarter of a mile away from we see this thing running as fast as it could, towards the south, trying to get to the tree line, and then we take off after it on our horses. And then, it would beat us, but we would try and catch it and go down to where it went down into the bushes, the tree line by the wash.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but like humans really can't outrun a horse.
Yeah.
So if you see something on two legs running away and you're trying to catch it on your horse and it's still getting further away from you, that's not a human.
That's what I mean. We would try and chase it. We thought it was a man. We thought it was this track star, that maybe an Olympic runner escapee or something like that.
Yeah, it was somebody who was supposed to be in the Olympics, got over here from like Yugoslavia and then defected and went and hid in the desert so they wouldn't ship them back to their commie country. And they've been hiding out like a Hosteen ever since. So the world's fastest runner. No, I don't think so.
You used to, try to run it down with the horses. That's what we used to do. And it disappeared in the tree line. We'd be trying to looking around. Maybe there was a cave we didn't know, but certain times it would do that, and we would try to take off after it. And that was my teenage years. It's just something that after at this age that I am now, it's just something that I look back on, and like you said, this Yugoslavian track star that outran the horses that one time, That's
he just happened to have the fastest human on Earth living out in the desert by himself like a hermit, right?
Yeah.
Interestingly, the show that's coming out next year, and by the time you guys hear this show, it'll be a couple shows ago. But I was talking to Rich about Zana over there in Georgia, next to the Caucasus Mountains, when they captured her and everything, and what the local townspeople who were around her for decades, all their descriptions of her and stuff. And that's one of the things that they mentioned, that she could outrun a horse. Well, newsflash, humans can't outrun a horse. So if you're talking about something, especially a female something, that can outrun a horse and can pick up 170 pounds in one hand and walk up a hill with it, that's not a human.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
But if you're
athletic, even males can't do that.
But if you're on the Navajo reservation and you're called Randy Yazzie, then you would think that.
Yeah, you still got Zana's relatives running around down there on your reservation, probably. That wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing stuff, and you guys just got so much activity down there all the time. Like I said, I just did another call with Brenda, which I'm in the process of putting together, and this is just last weekend I recorded it, and she had been out earlier that day investigating a Bigfoot sighting where this poor guy was doing some wood cutting around dark. It was just starting to get dark, and it screamed at him and literally chased him out of the woods. He got to turn back and see it a couple times, and the thing was like 9-10 feet tall, glaring at him. And they would chase him just, until he'd stop and turn around and look, and then it would just stand there and stare at him until he turned around and ran again and chased him out of the woods. So, and she had just got back from investigating this, had pictures of tracks and yada, yada, yada. Apparently the poor guy was really shook up. He had the basic idea that there was such a thing as Bigfoot, but had never seen one or anything, So the difference between it could maybe be real and you actually see one is huge, as you know. So he was still pretty shook up.
Yeah, that's one of the teachings that I do now. You know, if you look back on the what Grandma and Grandpa used to say, you know, go inside before the sun went down.
Mm-hmm.
They start to these huskins. They start to move right within there. You know, when they start traveling, and they do that through all night, and that's where people see them. You know, during the day when they haven't got to their destination yet. That's when, you know, they kind of make a mistake or something. Maybe they took a detour or something like that. Then that's when people see them.
Yeah.
Or at night while they're still traveling, and people, you know, we have like lights, real bright lights nowadays that, you know, we can spot them, like in vehicles and houses and that. Before,
back in the old days, you couldn't unless they were within range of the torch you were holding in your hand or the lantern, which isn't very far. Yeah.
If back then, if you smelled something real bad and it was dark, it was just a dead dog or some dead animal that you walked by. That was it.
Yeah.
So, you know, the differences that are from back then to now, or the comparisons. Correlations, the comparisons, and all of that. You put it back together, then, you know, they've been hanging around us real close, watching us, just taking food or whatever, and just take off from there. You know, we thought they're dead animals, and all of a sudden, you know, or people would say, you know, late at night we're out in that shade house, and then there would be like a real bad stench, and then they'll say, the wind must have changed. Which way is it coming from? Oh, it's coming from the south. Oh, there's probably a dead dog back there. So
you know, those dead dogs move around at night. That stench could be coming from anywhere.
That's how, you know, in the teenage years it was like that.
I know sometimes it's kind of merciful when you can't really put the pieces together and you don't really have a good idea of what's actually going on. Because if you did, you'd, you know, like be burning your underwear the next morning or something. Because it'd be pretty scary.
Yeah. Now one of my older brothers, he says, he says, I saw a Yeti down by the San Juan River. He says, oh, you mean the Sasquatch? No, it was a Yeti. You know, I asked him, why are you calling it a Yeti? He says, I'm just being different. He says.
No, it was a Yowie. I said, I'm serious. It wasn't a Bigfoot. Somebody imported it from Australia. It was a Yeti. There are people in the U.S. that call them Yetis because they just, you know, for whatever reason, they've been hearing that. 1950s is when that whole thing started, before there was really any knowledge about Bigfoot or anything. They were already talking about the abominable snowman and the Yeti and stuff. So a lot of the older people in the U.S., that's sort of their reference point when you say something about, you know, Bigfoot or something like that. They always think of the Yeti, the abominable snowman. So.
Yeah. And I asked him, how come you don't call it the man, the husky? You might be a woman, he says, so I just call it a Yeti just to be
it might be a woman. Good answer.
Yeah, my brother's hilarious. Yeah, people make jokes about it out here, you know. Or they might say that no good person just came around. They give them names like that. That no good person came around and bothered us, and we didn't really sleep or something like that. Or, you know, I ran into that no good person. Because, you know, they you know, throw rocks or branches and all that. When you think you're minding your own business and you're in their territory, and you get honored about it.
Yeah, when I had that guest on from the Crow Nation talking about the little people over there where she lived, her encounters and stuff with them, she wouldn't even use their actual native name for them because it's too iffy, or call them little people or anything like that. She wanted to. We just settled on the word Pedro because of the Pedro Mountain Mummy, which are apparently the same little people, and she decided that was nebulous enough that we could just call them Pedros. So the whole, if you remember it, and I'm sure a bunch of you have heard it, the whole interview we were just referring to them as Pedros because that was the only the only way she was comfortable enough to actually talk about them. Because, again, the thing with some of these cryptids, parallel supernatural, if you start actually saying their name, you're summoning them. You're drawing their attention to you, and you don't want that.
Yeah, that's the reason why we don't, in the winter time is the only time that we would say, like Yeti. That's the real name for them, Yeti. So, and that's the reason why I don't use that, because we did have 4 seasons. Now there's only 2, and all you're doing is summoning them, and they come around. That's why I say the Hush team, because it's the man, and that's what these mountain people that live by the mountain, they call them that. The person that comes down from the mountain. The Hush team is truly, the hairy man of the mountain.
So you got the Hush team, just you've got the Yetzo, and what's the other one, you guys? It's like a nickname, Yee-Ya Man or something?
Yeah, Yee-Ya Man is just like how the closest thing that I could say to about that is like how Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, they get scared and run from the monsters.
Run, scared,
Yeah.
So that's just like somebody sees the monster and they go, Yee-Ya! And they run away. So it's a Yee-Ya Man.
Yeah. So, that's what a scary expression. That's what Yee-Ya means. Man is just man. The man.
I'm just curious because I saw that actually on your group a couple times where you mentioned something about seeing a hot scene or something, and one of the other people will comment on there, oh no, the Yee-Ya Man. Like, not going like, what's the Yee-Ya Man now? Need more information on this. That's sort of what I figured it was. I was like, are they talking about something that's just like so scary that they say Yee-Ya when they see it? Maybe that's what it is. And apparently, that's what it was. So pretty cool.
Yeah, the person might Navajo might put it in a sentence like, if the person is don't want to hear about a scary subject, they might just walk away and start saying, and then just say Yee-Ya, and then just walk away, meaning I'm scared.
Whereas, like, if you're a white man and you don't want to hear what they're saying, you just cover your ears up and walk away and go, la, 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 la. No, 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 I'm not listening. No, no, no. That's really hilarious, though. It's great that you guys have that much cultural heritage still going on, where you've got your traditional terminology and you've got your little slang phrases and all that kind of stuff. It really bugs me when the native nations and, or even like little tribes or anything totally lose touch with all their cultural heritage and forget their language and forget all their cultural, heritages of different, you know what I'm talking about, ceremonies and holidays and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, why are you letting this happen? Why are you just letting your culture die? Don't you like it?
Yeah.
I think it's really super sad. I hate to see that anywhere in the world. And that's one thing I love about the Navajo. It seems like you guys actually have, you want to keep your traditional beliefs and language and stuff like that alive so you can pass it on to the future. Yeah,
that's majority of the southwestern tribes are like that. We have our brothers that are on these reservations out here, the Pueblos and the Hopis and the Utes and Paiutes and the Apaches.
Mm-hmm.
We try to practice what we know. Try and hand it down to our younger generation.
Right on.
And it's like that. There's people out there that are actually still doing that, and there's a lot of my Facebook friends that are like that also.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I heard that really impressed me, that there are still Navajo living the old traditional lifestyle that sort of like never modernized and never became modern and just went, screw that, and just, stayed traditional. That's just so cool.
Yeah, they still bring in water,
Yep.
they still bring in water, haul water from way out there, and drink that, and go to now the easy thing is to go to these grocery stores and get all of that, and then go back. But then they buy enough to last like a whole month or something like that.
So you don't have to go into town very often. Yay, good plan. Yeah. There's people out here that do that too, and it's not like a native thing. It's just like, I don't like towns and crowds and hustle and bustle, and I'm going to have as little contact with it as possible. When everything runs dry, I'll run into town and get more groceries and restock for another month, sort of thing. So totally can relate to that attitude. You got a lot of it up here in Montana too.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's we try to still do that down here. That's and then we've come to find out about this Bigfoot phenomenon, and like hey, let's see it. That's more or less that's how it is. Let's see a monster, because the way that we always say it, we try to think back on our traditional teachings, and it is this Hosteen, this Bigfoot is part of the ways of teaching discipline and discipline. That was what it was. And they would say, don't stay out at night and come in before the sun comes down. Just go to sleep, and early in the morning you can come back up refreshed.
Mm-hmm.
Or don't be whistling at night, because you bring in the genies, the ghosts they call them, because these certain lights, they're street lights. These Huskies, they will look like they don't have hair. Also, some of them like that.
Oh, that's really weird.
So yeah, that's how it is, and then that's the reason why they say don't whistle at night, because you'll bring in the ghosts.
Yeah, you bring in the ghosts. You bring in the Hosteen. You get a lot of that stuff too. Of these people going, well, there's an old abandoned farm over there and it's haunted. Well, how do you know? Well, we've been over to the farmhouse, and that, we don't go in there because that might be haunted too. But you hear weird noises coming from the barn. There's like howls and scary cries and stuff. And it's like, okay. Yeah, you got an abandoned barn Bigfoot's living in, and when you get too close, he gets mad and makes a racket, and you think it's a ghost, so you stay away. Mission accomplished. He's happy with it. Yeah,
exactly. That's how it is down here too. And here, they'll say, don't go to that certain house. There's a ghost living in there.
Ghost, all right.
You see it in the dark, and I say, oh, okay, that's how the teaching is. It's to deter the person, not to scare the person, but to deter the person from going over there.
Right.
And
it's not like the objective is to terrify them; it's to warn them.
Yes, exactly. And some of them, they go over there and then they come back crying and all of that. And so that's.
And then you go, well, we told you to not go over there. You didn't listen.
And here comes the caveman just shaking shelters of monsters,
Well, that's your job. That's why you're the caveman. Okay, the rest of you run away from the Hosteen. I'll find a shelter and go shake it during the day and really make them mad.
Yeah. You can, if a person hears a cry or a scream like that, it's gonna stay. It's gonna, stay with them for the rest of their lives. Don't matter if they have nightmares about it, or they just every little sound that they hear that sounds like the cry that they made. That's it's gonna stick with them.
Well,
that's how it is.
Some of the noises they can make, the howls like. If you ever heard timber wolves howling, man, they sound like ghosts. They don't yip and bark like coyotes do. They howl. They sound like a chorus line of ghosts. And Bigfoot doing the same kind of howls or screams or anything like that. And anybody that heard it would go, well, that's not a normal animal. I don't know what the hell that is. It sounds like some kind of a monster or demon or ghost or something, and it would just scare the hell out of them.
Yeah. The wolf will do that. But then if you hear if you hear a husking, try and imitate that, and then don't really have the experience, or maybe they're just now learning. They're just the way I say it is they're just like us. They'll be like, ooh, like not that high, but you know, ooh. And then they'll have like maybe a scratch in their throat or something like that. And you're like,
gives it away. Yeah, I heard one night that was like actually pretty good, but he screwed it up completely by starting out as a crow and then ending as an owl hoot. That you're definitely mixing up your animals, or you just totally gave yourself away. And crows don't hoot at night either. I mean, crows don't caw at night. Owls hoot, but crows don't caw at night because then they're a target and the owl will eat them. So you really don't hear a crow going, ooh. No.
Did I ever tell you about that one? This is kind of off of Bigfoot. But did I tell you about that one, about the crow making that sound?
No, I don't think so.
Well, this one was coming out of the college, and one of my buddies met me about halfway from where our vehicles were parked. We were walking out, and we were done with our classes. And you know how at one time I had that Facebook profile picture as the Predator?
Yeah.
And here, I had the sound to it. You know how where it clicks?
Mm-hmm.
And I had the ringtone as that too. And every time when somebody called, you know, Predator would come on like that. And then here, it did that. And I picked up the phone, and I think it was my mom that had called, and just before I pushed the send button, she hung up. So I didn't, you know, I thought I'd call her later, so I put it back in its case. We walked about maybe 10 steps, and here the sound came again. So I picked up my phone and looked at it again. There was nothing.
Uh-oh.
Whoa, she must be playing phone tag with me. And then so I put it away again, and we were talking, you know, about our class. And here it did that again. I took out my phone. There's nothing, nobody calling me. And then he looks at me. He says, "Isn't that the Predator?" He says. I said, "Yeah." So I was looking at him. I think my mom keeps calling me, hanging up. And then he says, "But that didn't come from your phone," he says. We started looking around. Oh, man, you know, we're looking around. And he says, "You know what?" He says, "You're too much into Bigfoot." He says, "What if the Predator is following you?" And then we took off. We took off out, you know, out from where we were standing, and we ran behind my vehicle, and we were looking around, see what, you know. And then he said, "Doesn't the Predator go get invisible?" He says. I said, "Yeah."
God.
So where is it? And then we were all looking around, and he says, I'll look from the tail end of the truck, and you keep looking around from the front side." He says, and there was nothing because we were hiding. Then he says, "Stick your head up again." So I stuck my head up. Then there goes that sound again.
Oh God!
It went down again, and it sounded exactly the way my phone was, and it was, you know, the Predator. You know, it was the Predator sound, the click.
You're starting to think the friggin' Predator's real, and it's around there at this point.
Yeah, and here, he says, he called me over. He's sitting at the, you know, at the end by the tailgate, you know, looking back from where the sound was coming from. And he says, "It's coming from that tree," he says. And we were looking that way. Then another person walked out, from the college. And then it had a ringtone also. It went, roof, 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 roof. It made that sound. And here a little crow hopped out on one of the branches from where we were looking at. Man, that bird was smart. It made it imitate like that. It was a crow that we found out. So,
Yeah, I've heard of predator drones before, but I never heard of a predator crow before. Oh.
Yeah, that's how it was. These that crow could make the predator click.
He must have been having a great time scaring the hell out of you guys. Oh, this is fun. Look, we're running. I'll do it again.
We felt stupid after.
Yeah, I had a friend up in northern Minnesota that caught a crow when he was little. What was a crow? I'm not sure if it was a crow or a raven. I think it was a crow. But anyway, he had that thing for years, and it actually learned to make all kinds of sounds and could say a few words, too. So it's kind of like, having a parrot or something. They're really good at mimicking noises.
Every time I would walk out to feed my animals or my cats out here, there would be one sitting on top of the street light in the back of my house. And my cats would come running. And then how I called my cats was just like, say that, and then these cats, some other cats that are around come out, whole bunch of them. So I had to put my cats back in and then feed them.
Otherwise, the other cats will eat all of it.
Yeah, after that crow would sit on top of the street light and say, and these cats would just run out from somewhere like that.
Damn crows.
I chased that crow away, never come back. I'm the only one that makes that sound. So,
get out of here. Quit calling all the cats in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Can't feed all
that's what I'm doing. So, yeah, that's that. So I know, that they do that. So
that's hilarious.
No.
Yeah, you got to be careful always when you're listening to some weird noises in the woods and what it is that you're actually hearing, because it's you can easily be deceived. It's some animal you haven't heard a lot or anything making some weird noises they don't normally make, and oh my God, that's a Bigfoot. Well, no, it was just a moose in heat. But you hadn't heard that before, so you think it's a Bigfoot. Oh my God, what was that blood-curdling scream? It sounded like a woman screaming. That was a mountain lion screaming. That wasn't a Bigfoot. So it's easy for people that don't have that much experience to hear things like this and go, oh, it might have been a Bigfoot, and it's like, well, if it sounds like a frog and it sounds like a 500-pound frog or something, maybe it's a Bigfoot. But some of these other things, it's like you could be hearing something else and just missing what it actually is. Case in point there, you guys thought you had the predator there, and it was just a crow that thought he was going to have a fun time to screw around with a couple of humans for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering some of the other behavior I've heard from crows, that really doesn't surprise me very much. They're notorious for stealing things, too. They like shiny things. They'll steal shiny stuff and fly off with it, even though they don't have any use for it for whatever reason. It's interesting to them, so they take it.
Majority of my animals around here, they're all ornery, we're all like that. There was this crow that came down, and maybe a visitor from somewhere else. He tried to pick up one of the kittens. All these cats came out from somewhere, and then they just beat him up.
And then he went, well, I'm not going to get away with that one.
Yeah. He was trying to fly back up, and they keep attacking him. That's when I had seven cats,
Oh, my God.
When I let go of the cats, even the dogs would hide, too. That's how they were. Now I'm down to 3.
Unleash the cats.
Yeah, that's one thing. They just jump on anybody's face. Even the goats, there was one that always used to just butt you for no reason. That was a male goat, one of those billy goat gruff.
Yeah.
They're just ornery, even the horses. You try to feed it, and then it just bites you on the arm,
You have all crabby animals there. Well, it's probably better that they're crabby. It helps them defend themselves from the little people and the horsey molesting hosting that run around there. Keep themselves safe.
Yeah.
By being crabby and biting everything.
But I'll take another picture of what that hosting's doing to my fences around the goats.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's one thing that I'm kind of certain that it's there for water, because it's not bothering any of the other side of the fences. It's not, trying to. If it wanted to climb in, it would have climbed in and took one of my goats.
Right.
But this snaps my my fences, one at a time. You know how there's like knots? I don't know what you call them on those fences where they come together.
Mm-hmm.
They're snapped off. They're like twisted off.
Wow.
And here, where all of this is going on is right where the goats drink. So there's either, it's just there, making a getting into the water and just going about its business, doing its own thing, or it sits from there and trying to make a bigger hole to grab one of them goats that are nearby the water bucket. That's what I was thinking. So sometimes when when I'm in a good mood, I put water in one of the outside troughs. Only maybe about 10 gallons of it. And then in the morning time, it won't bother my fence, but in the morning time, the rim of that trough would smell like crap.
You've been in there drinking. Wow.
Those are the things.
Again, I'm just glad that I live in a place where I'm like sort of on the edge of the town, so I don't have a lot of like them running around the yard all the time or something. I wouldn't want to put up with that anymore.
Yeah.
We got deer living in the backyard. I go out and have a cigarette and see between 3 and 7 deer any time because they live right there. So that's enough nature. I don't need Bigfoot living in the friggin' backyard too. No. Come outside and have Bigfoot twisting a deer's head off and killing it. No. Just no. No. Well, is there anything else you wanted to update anybody on here? I see we're kind of running low on time.
Okay, just be careful out there. Just do whatever, if you're doing research or investigating, just be careful out there. Be safe. Don't do things that, other people will try and dare you to do. That's only for me. And then, be aware of your surroundings. All when you go through camping and all of that, don't leave the little kids playing by themselves and sitting back and all of that. Be out there with them and, be their protector.
Yeah. Especially don't leave the little kids alone, like ever. Keep an eye on them all the time.
Yeah. So, I'd just like to say that to the people that are listening out there. Be safe, and also, just have a good life. Stay strong. Do what you need to do.
Totally agree with you, brother. More words of wisdom from the caveman down there in the Southwest. And meanwhile, folks, thanks for tuning into the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be kind to everybody. Pay it forward. Safety first, last, and always. And no matter what you do, no matter how tempting it is, no matter how much you've taken leave of your senses, do not hug the Wookiee. Good night, everybody.
I'll go in there.